Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Gradle Technologies. Today we'll be looking at how to get SonarQube qualitygate status from a Gradle build. Okay, so here in this article, we will try to see how we can set up SonarQube using Vagrant and Ansible, and then we will be trying to do a Java build using Gradle. Basically, it is going to be a basic Java project that we are going to build using Gradle, and we will be using a plugin related to the SonarQube, which will help us in scanning the Gradle project using that plugin. And this analysis or this code review that gets carried out using the SonarQube plugin will generate a report on the code review, which we will try to analyze or get the status of that using the Gradle build. Okay, so this is basically what we are trying to achieve in this video. Also, we will the important thing about this is we will see how we can break a CI/CD pipeline or CI/CD workflow using the Gradle build and SonarQube as a code analysis tool. We will see how we can break a build when there is a failure on the SonarQube analysis for a particular project. Okay, so let us see how we can achieve it in this video. So I'm currently working on Fedora 37 workstation with Java 11 and Vagrant 2.3.7. Okay, so basically Java 11 is required for the Sonar scanner or the SonarQube, let's say the version that I'm currently working on. Okay, and Vagrant is basically used to launch the VM in which we are going to do the setup of the SonarQube server. Okay, so we are using Vagrant with libvirt as a provider. You can check out my other video base wherein we have seen how we can configure libvirt KVM as a virtualization environment for Vagrant. Okay, so that is in short about my environment currently I have. So let us see try to understand what is SonarQube. Okay, so SonarQube is a code review or code analysis tool. It is open source. We have an enterprise version of that one also, but the open source version is also quite well, which we can utilize in our CI/CD workflow. So basically what it does is it tries to analyze your code for any kind of code improvement, code vulnerabilities, and it tries to generate a report on that and provides you with the information where in your code you will be able to improve your code, or there are some vulnerabilities that you can address it. Okay, so it provides us with clear information about the issue and how you can mitigate that issue to clean up your code. Okay, so this is how SonarQube helps in analyzing your code while you are building, and it helps in reviewing your code and provides us with good reporting information on our code review, and based on that reporting review or analysis, we will be able to clean up our code as we build. Okay, so that is the whole purpose of what the SonarQube does in our CI/CD workflow. Also, SonarQube supports various languages. There are 30 plus languages that are supported by SonarQube. All these 30 plus languages can be reviewed based on a set of rules which is called a quality profile, which defines those rules which are the rules against which the source code is being reviewed. Okay, so that is the another important thing about SonarQube, like it has a support for varied different languages. Okay, and it is easy to integrate SonarQube into our CI/CD or DevOps pipeline, and ensure that we have a good quality of code getting released into the production. Okay, so that is in short about SonarQube. And if you want to get more details about the SonarQube, like you can go into your Google and try to browse for SonarQube, and it will take you to the SonarQube the home page. But if, let's say, if you want to get into more details about the SonarQube, like you can go into the SonarQube documentation, wherein you will be able to get a clear idea of what all things like SonarQube does or helps us in the code review. Okay, so that is in short about SonarQube. And so let me just tell you, like while we are here, like I am going to use the LTS version, that is 9.9 LTS version. And the requirement for 9.9 LTS version, so the Java version requirement is the Oracle JRE 17 for the server and scanner, or OpenJDK version 17 for server or scanner. But it also supports the JDK 11 version, but that is only for the scanner. Like on the server, like we need to have the JDK version 17 only. Okay, so this is the basic requirement for SonarQube. So we will get into the details of what all components are there in the SonarQube in further steps. Okay, so let me go into my documentation again. And also this documentation that I am like showing you, like it is already available on my blog. So if you go into middleware technologies.in, like it will take you directly to my blog, wherein you can look for the SonarQube article based on this video. So this is the article that I have already published, like, but you can look at it in the blog also. So let me close this. Okay, let me go into my documentation now. And so here is my project structure. Like basically, like I'm going to use Ansible playbook and roles in order to provision my virtual machine with the SonarQube server. And we are going to basically use this Vagrant file, which basically launches our VM, and on which the Ansible is going to provision our server, that is SonarQube service. Okay, so let me go into my shell, and let me show you the Vagrant file. Okay, so the Vagrant file is going to be a very minimum basic Vagrant file, wherein we'll be setting up the we'll be using the Fedora 38 cloud-based image, and we'll be providing a host name for our virtual machine, that is FedSonar. So on this like host name, like we will be able to access our SonarQube server portal. Okay, and like we are going to sync the current directory or the current directory from the host into home Vagrant Sonar using SSHFS. And the provider that we are going to use is libvirt, as I mentioned. Like in case like you have VirtualBox, like you can try to configure it with VirtualBox and try to utilize it. And we have set the CPU and memory to 2 core and 2 gig memory. Okay, and here like we are going to provision the VM using Ansible, and we are going to execute the following playbook. Okay, so now let us try to look at the following playbook. So what exactly it does. So if I try to go into the playbook, so this playbook is going to like execute on the following host, that is Sonar, and it is going to execute with root privileges, and it is going to like execute the following roles. Okay, so we have like I have divided it into two roles. So basically like we are going to install SonarQube as a service, that is a Docker service. So we are going to set up Docker as a first step. Like we will be installing the Docker the packages, and we will be setting up the required configuration for the Docker, and we are going to launch the Docker service. Once that is done, like we will be installing Sonar, like we will be using the Docker Compose file for SonarQube, and we will be starting up the service using Docker Compose. Okay, so we will try to get into the details of these in further steps. Okay, now like we have seen like what is my project structure. Like we have seen about the SonarQube Vagrant file that we are going to use, and we have seen about how we are going to provision the SonarQube server. So basically we are going to like execute or trigger the following two rules on that particular virtual machine. Now coming to the third step, that is basically setting up the Docker services. Okay, now let us go into the details of how we are setting up the Docker service on the Vagrant virtual machine. So for that, like we are going to go into the roles, and we are going to open the Let's Docker install roles. Okay, so here the main execution file is going to be the tasks main.execution file. So let us try to understand like what we are doing over here. So here like you can see like we are trying to install some set of prerequisite packages, like the DNF related packages. Then we are going to add the Docker repository which provides us with the Docker engine package, and then we are going to install the Docker engine packages from that repository, and we are making sure that the Docker group exists once the installation is completed, and we are going to add the Vagrant user to that particular Docker group, so that we will be able to launch the containers without being a root user. Okay, so once these changes are done, like we are going to reload the system daemon. Okay, so that the changes related to the user groups are going to take effect. Okay, so once that is done, like we will be able to start up the Docker service, okay, without root privileges. Okay, so that is in short about like what we are doing over here with this playbook in order to set up the Docker services. So once the Docker services is started, like we will be able to like validate it using a simple hello world image, and then like we are installing Docker Compose using the Docker Compose repository, like this is basically like we are going to use in order to like launch the SonarQube using the Docker Compose as a service. Okay, so once that Docker Compose service is like installed at the following location, like we are going to provide the 755 permissions for that file. Okay, so that is basically what we are doing with the Docker service setup. And like in the task, like we have used a couple of variables. So this is like the Docker repository string, and this is Docker Compose repository string that we have set, and this is Sonar user and Sonar group, like which we have used in the tasks main.yaml file. So this is in short about the Docker setup that we are carrying out in this video. Let us now go into the next step, that is step 4, setting up the SonarQube servers. Okay, so now like what we are going to do is we are going to look at the role which helps us in setting up the SonarQube server on the libvirt virtual machine. Okay, so let us go into the details. So let me open the roles Linux Sonar, and let us go into the tasks main.yaml file. So here, like you can see, like this is a 3-step process, that 4-step process that we are trying to carry out in order to set up the Docker, the SonarQube service on the virtual machine. So here, like we are going to copy the template Docker Compose file into the SonarQube home directory, and then we are going to set up the max map count file, that is basically etc/sysctl, and once that kernel parameter is set, like we are going to load the kernel parameter using sysctl-p, and then we are going to launch the SonarQube service using the Docker Compose. Okay, so we are using the Docker Compose utility and passing the SonarQube's passing the Docker Compose file path and launching it in the detached mode. Okay, so this is in short like what we are going to carry out for setting up the SonarQube service. Okay, so now that we are going to launch the SonarQube service, let us try to understand like what all components are available in the SonarQube service, SonarQube as a server. Okay, so let us try to basically look at the architecture like that you can get it in from the setup and upgrade install server. Okay, so this is the high level architecture or the components that are available in the SonarQube environment. So there are two sections over here. So one is the scanner section, which is the client part, and the other one is the server section, which is the server part. So it is basically a client server architecture. Coming to the server architecture, the server components, like we have a web server which helps in providing us with the UI interface for the SonarQube portal, and in the backend, like the search capabilities for that UI are provided by the search server, that is Elasticsearch server, and the code review and code analysis is being carried out by the compute engine, and these reports and the metrics related to the server or the Elasticsearch are saved into the database server. So it can be a Postgres, MS SQL or Oracle, whichever like you wish to use, like you can configure it and try to utilize it. Okay, so this is the server section, and from the scanner part, that is the client section, like it will be like installed on the basically like we will be installing a Sonar scanner, or we will be looking at some plugins that will be used as a part of the build, and that will be installing the Sonar scanner on the client machine, and they are going to review the source files or the code repository files to provide you an analysis report. Okay, so this is going to be the analysis report which will be generated on the server side and provided on the web server portal. Okay, so this is the high level structure or the components that are available in the SonarQube environment. Okay, so now let us go into the documentation. So now we have seen like how we are going to set up the SonarQube using our role, and we have looked at the high level architecture of the SonarQube components. Okay, so let me go into the shell again to provide you with the details about the other things that we are going to utilize in the SonarQube setup. So in the var section, like I have set up the SonarQube home as home Vagrant Sonar, wherein we'll be copying the required files. Okay. And in the template section, so these are the files which we are going to copy into the Sonar home directory. The Docker Compose file is going to be copied into the Sonar home directory. So this is the Docker Compose file that I am using. So it basically sets up the SonarQube service and the database service. Like we are using Postgres as a backend database for the SonarQube server. Okay, so, and also you can see that it depends on the DB. So DB service should be up and running. And here you can see like we are persisting the SonarQube configuration data and the logs and on the local machine, that is on the Vagrant machine, and similarly like we are persisting the data for the Postgres service. Okay, so coming to the environment variables, like we are setting up the JDBC URL that the SonarQube server like going to utilize, and the username and password for the Postgres server. Okay, and coming to the SonarQube server, like by default there will be a user created with the admin and admin as a user and admin as a password. But when we try to like log in for the first time, we'll be asked to change the password for that admin user. Okay, and the most important thing is the SonarQube service listens on the port 9000. Okay, so this is a very basic Docker Compose file that actually you can get it from so actually you can get it from the documentation page. So if you go into the install SonarQube from Docker image, like we will be able to see, like if you scroll down, like you will be provided with the Docker Compose file. So this is the Docker Compose file that I have replaced, which you can take it directly from here. Okay, so that is in short about the Docker Compose file. And now let us go into the sysctl file that we are going to use to set the kernel parameters. So here we are going to set the VM max map count to 262.144. So this is basically required for the Elasticsearch service that is going to be utilized by the SonarQube web portal. Okay, so in order to launch the service Elasticsearch in the backend, so we need to set up this parameter as a requirement. Okay, so these are the things that we are going to set up. These are the things that we are going to use in order to set up the SonarQube server. Okay, now let us go into the documentation again. So we have seen like how we can set up the SonarQube server using the role, and we have tried to understand like what all things we are trying to do with that particular role. Now it is time to launch the SonarQube server. So once your playbook is ready, so once your Vagrant file is ready and your Ansible roles with playbook are ready, like you are ready to launch, you can just ignore these two files for now, because this basically is we are copying into the home directory when we are launching the Vagrant, and this is going to be the project that we are going to use, which we will look at further. Okay, so now let us go into the shell and try to launch Vagrant virtual machine using Vagrant up. Okay, so this is going to launch our virtual machine and try to set up the SonarQube server on this virtual machine. So this is going to take a few minutes in order to install the required packages for Docker and SonarQube and try to start up the SonarQube service. Okay, so let me get back to you once the SonarQube service is up and running. Okay, so now like our setup is completed, like SonarQube service is up and running. So you can see like the SonarQube has started in the container. So now let me go into the Vagrant machine using Vagrant SSH, and once you are there, like you will be able to see using Docker PS like the two services are up and running, that is SonarQube and the Postgres service, which is the dependent service for the SonarQube. Okay, so this is the very basic thing that you can check once the Vagrant virtual machine is up and running, and you can go to the portal, and as I mentioned, like we are, so let me get out of this Vagrant machine, and as I mentioned, like we are going to use the following host, and the SonarQube service is going to listen on port 9000. So let us try to access it on port 9000. Okay, so now you can see like the SonarQube service is up and running. We can log in with admin as the password, like which is the default user that is set up. But when you try to log in for the first time, it will ask you to change the password. Okay, so now you can change the password to whatever you wish to do. So I have changed my new password and updated. Okay, sorry, so let me change my old password and now to update it. Okay, so this is how like your SonarQube portal looks like when you first launch it without any scanner like projects available in the SonarQube portal. Okay, so that is one thing. And now like what we are going to do is like we need to we need to set up a token for the user, like that is the admin. Like we are going to use this user, and in the security section like we are going to generate a token. So the token basically like we are going to generate is like basically a credential that we are going to share it with the client, so that they will be able to connect to the SonarQube server for analyzing the reports. Okay, so now like we are going to provide our token name admin token, and the type is going to be global analysis token, which expires in 30 days, and let us try to generate it. Okay, so once you click on the generate button, it is going to generate this token, like which we need to copy, and let me save it over here because we are going to use it in order to connect to the SonarQube server. Okay, so you can see that admin token of global analysis is generated, and it is going to be expiring on 30 days. Okay, so this is how like you can generate the token from the portal. So once the token is generated, now it's time to do the setup on the client side. Okay, so client side, so basically like what we are going to do is we are actually using this GitHub repository. So let me go into the GitHub repository, Sonar Scanner Examples GitHub repository, and here like we have a couple of Gradle projects, and from there like we are going to utilize this Sonar Scanner Gradle basic project. Okay, so this is the project that we are going to use. So first like we are cloning the repository. Okay, so we have this Sonar Scanner project that we have cloned already, and so you can go into this examples, and here like we will see like Sonar Scanner Gradle project, and let us go into that, and we can go into the Gradle basic project over here. Okay, so this is a project that we are going to build using Gradle and try to analyze its code using SonarQube. Okay, so once you clone this repository, we need to update this build.gradle file with the following version of the SonarQube, because the version that is provided in the basically, like let's say like if you go into the analyze code and overview and go for Sonar Scanner for Gradle, it provides us with a version of SonarQube plugin that we can use 3.5.0, but it is having some issues, like it breaks. Basically it is not able to build and compile your source code, due to which like it is not able to use this the SonarQube version, so we have updated it to the following version. Okay, so once you have that, and you need to update your SonarQube properties over here. So basically like we have just added the following sonar.token property. So let me update this value over here with the latest one that we have just generated. Okay, so I have copied the latest one, and we are going to set the Sonar source and test properties. Basically these are the folders that we are going to tell the SonarQube to review for us. Okay, and everything else remains the same, like the Java version is currently 17, but you can change it to 11 also, but we should be able to use 11 or 17 on the scanner server for this particular version of the Sonar plugin that we are using over here. Okay, so let me save these changes. Now that we have cloned the repository and we have updated the build.gradle file, now it is time to basically build the Gradle project. Okay, so now like we are going to build our project using the following command, wherein we are going to set the following parameter, that is sonar.host.url. It is going to point to the virtual machine on which the SonarQube server is set up. And the most important thing that we are going to pass over here is the following parameter, that is sonar.qualitygate.wait. So basically the Gradle build is going to wait for the SonarQube to send it the status of the quality gate. So the quality gate status is basically, it means like the source code is going to be reviewed based on a set of based on a profile, and when the analysis report is generated, it provides us with a status of whether the quality whether it has passed the quality gate or whether it has failed the policy gate. Okay, quality gate. Okay, so that status is sent back to us, and the Gradle build is going to wait until the status is sent, and in case the code review fails, the Gradle build is going to be exiting at that stage itself. Okay, so it is not going to go further into any other steps. So let's say like if you have a CI/CD pipeline wherein you compile your code like build and compile your code and then assemble, and then you try to push that artifactory into the repository, so those steps further down in your CI/CD workflow can be broken and stopped when your source code analysis fails after the build and compile. Okay, so that is how like you can do by passing this parameter into the Gradle build. Okay, and stack trace and info is basically the options that we are passing. So in case there are any failures, like we want to look at the stack trace, and for the info option is basically to provide us with the detailed information about the Gradle build that is going to be carried out. Okay, so now let us see like how we going to utilize Gradle in order to do the SonarQube code review or code analysis. Okay, so now you can see like the Gradle build has started, and it has started that the SonarQube task also. So it basically started the analysis, and if you go down further, so you can see it is waiting for the analysis report to be processed. So it is going to wait for maximum 300 seconds, so it times out after 300 seconds, that is 5 minutes. Okay, now you can see that after like it has got the qualitygate status that is passed, and the report is generated at the following location. Okay, so the build is completed. Okay, now if you go into the portal, so let's say like you are there on the SonarQube portal, like you will see the following project is captured, like and it provides us with the analysis report of this project. Okay, so the qualitygate, overall qualitygate status is passed. Okay, so as I said, like the qualitygate is basically a set of basically a set of conditions that are checked. So basically the qualitygate fails if the reliability rating is worse than A, or security rating is worse than A, or the security hotspot is less than 100%, maintainability rating is worse than A, coverage is less than 80%, or duplicate lines is greater than 3%. So these are the qualitygate thresholds that we have set based on the following profile. Okay, so this is the SonarWay profile. So you can see this is the default profile which we are using, but it is also possible to create a new profile. So let's say you can create a new profile over here and utilize it with your new qualitygate. Okay, which can be set to the particular project. Okay, so here like you can see every project not specified specifically associated to your qualitygate will be associated to this default qualitygate profile. Okay, so this is how like it utilizes this qualitygate and tries to analyze our report, and based on the thresholds that are set in this qualitygate, it is going to provide us with a status whether the analysis has been failed or passed. Okay, so this is how like you can get the qualitygate status from a Gradle build that is utilizing the SonarQube plugin. Okay, so now let us go further, and there is one more way like you can get the qualitygate status, that is using the REST API. So it basically uses the following API qualitygates project status, and for that you will need to provide the project key. Okay, so now let me go and do the following curl command from my shell. So let me clear my screen over here, and here you can see like I am doing a insecure get using the following credentials. Okay, on to the following API with which gets us with the qualitygate project status, and the project key is going to be the following project key. Okay, so if you are unsure like what is your project key, like you can go into the projects and open your project, and go to the project information, and you will be able to see the project key over here. Okay, so that project key that you can copy it and use it in the REST API call. Okay, so now if you look at the status, so it has, as you can see, it provides us with the following output. The project status is okay. Okay, so that is how like you will be able to get the status of the qualitygate using the REST API also. Okay, so now that we have generated, we have looked at how we can do the Gradle build and get the qualitygate status, and we have also seen like how we can validate the SonarQube report on the portal. Okay, so this is the portal. So this is all I wanted to show you in this video, like how we can use the Gradle build with SonarQube plugin in order to scan your project for the code review or code analysis, and wait for the status of the SonarQube qualitygate status, and based on that you can decide whether your CI/CD workflow can go further, or whether your code would be able to go further in the workflow or not. Okay, so that is all I wanted to show you this video. Thank you all. Thanks for this. Thank you for watching this video, and you guys have a great day.